IPMNation.com.
All natural being. Warning, all natural being with Brian Brawdy is designed to shake your sense of self to the core.
It's full contact psychology with an empowering twist, a philosophical loofah for your soul.
For those of you not ready or comfortable releasing your inner superhuman, listener discretion is advised.
Here's your host,
Brian Brawdy.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're listening to All Natural Being here on IPMNation.com. If you're listening live this morning, 7 to 8 a.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m., 8 p.m. If you're listening to the rebroadcast, thank you so very much for hanging out with me, giving me an hour of your day to connect, catch up. My sole goal, my sole gig, my love in doing this is to remind you of who you ultimately are. Especially in a day and age where there's so much craziness going on in the world. I like the idea of hanging out and just, being a little poke in the ribs. Just that little tap on the shoulder, that little nudge to remind you of who you are, where you are, and to figure out together throughout the hour, what are you going to do about it? Gifted with a human brain. And we got a lot, there's some really cool stuff this morning to talk about. I want to catch up, as I promised yesterday. We were going to talk about some of the things in a particular article, but this morning's show, we're also going to be talking about consciousness within the brain. We've got some pretty cool things going. I also want to make mention, let me just click over here real quick. IPM Nation. Oh, is today? No. Hey, maybe it is. Hold on a second. Hold the press. So that's 74. Oh, hey, I didn't even realize. Look, you got to keep your finger on the pulse, Brian. Keep up with the show. Hey, today is the 75th episode. I don't know why that's any more important than the 74th, but 75. 75th episode. Get out of here. And we're still number one on IPM Nation since our launch. Today's 75. But if you've been listening or you're brand new to the show, you know that I think we're number one because this is a show about you. You. Why wouldn't you make this the number one show? It's your show. It's all about the inner workings of your mind. So, wow, look at that, 75th. All right. What will we talk about today? Well, let's do this. Reach out, if you like, 331-684-7685, 331-684-SOUL, or hit me up over on allnaturalbeing.com. Give me your email. I'll send you mine. We'll connect that way. Also over on Facebook, Brian Brawdy Official, which is laughable, really, if you know me. There's nothing official about me, but Brian Brawdy Official over on Facebook. Twitter at Brian Brawdy. Let me know what you're thinking. I do. We incorporate, which is why we're about ready to open with the discussion of the Day of Wrath. You ever hear of that? Well, I grew up, kind of grew up all over the place when it came to it, but one of the many things that I learned when I was little, that there would be a judgment day. A Des Irai. And on that day, you'd be held accountable for everything you did. Now, a slightly different bent on that now, as some of you may imagine. I think that the judgment day is one you hold yourself to. That the day of wrath will come where you'll look back and you'll go, what did I do with my life? Where did time flies, Brian. Time flies. Just got away from me. All right. So today's show, we're going to focus on what are you going to do with it before the time gets away from you. And this whole concept of a day of wrath, I want to tell you a little story. This is not to slam people, anybody, from Piney River, Virginia, from Walton Mountain. For anyone from Virginia, from the South, is not to slam anyways. But when I was younger, it was my sister and I. if she's listening, my sister and I would be shipped off during the summers to Piney River, Virginia. We had family there, right? And my mom trying to raise 5 kids all by herself. You get rid of the 2 biggest instigators, right? The number 1 and number 2 in the birth order. Well, yeah, why don't we just box them up and ship them off, UPS them to Piney River, Virginia, and they can hang out there for the summer. Let them run around with the cows and the June bugs and swim in the creeks and all the like. So that's what would happen. We would go off this summer. Well, very early on, I realized from the family there that whenever there was a thunder or lightning storm, it was, so was believed, God's way of punishing you for being bad. Little kids being punished for being bad. So during a thunder and lightning storm, we would have to sit on the couch, quiet, hands on our laps, and just take it. That was our punishment. That was our, at the micro level, our day of wrath. The thunder and lightning was God, which is fascinating because from a Christian family it was terribly Zeus, terribly Greek and Roman mythology of them. The thunderbolt, the lightning bolt, the thunder. You get where I'm going with this. But in any event, that was our day of punishment. And years later, I would coin the phrase, which is always good, as I've said before, amongst family and friends and during interviews. You want to clean out 1,000 people on your Facebook page. I today believe that any heaven run by a God that would threaten you with hell is no heaven at all. Plain and simple. So I'm here to suggest that the day of wrath is on us. It's on you. It's on me. It's an individual thing where we're going to have to sit there, look back over our life and ask, was I me? Did I bring my A game? Am I crawling across the finish line just a dried out skin bag full of bones? Did I use every bit of my soul's sap? To quote Usanar. Every bit of my soul's sap. I burned the candle at both ends. That I did everything I could to be who I ultimately am. But then I thought about it. Look around at what's going on today. Social media, broadcast media, newspapers, magazine articles. I mean, it's sad. If it weren't fascinating, you couldn't even look at it. But all the fighting. Heard someone in a news organization the other day go, what do we have to do to stop all this hatred? Well, stop booking your guests that come on for the sole purpose of acting like they hate each other. And someone emailed me the other day, what are we going to do about this terrorist thing? My thought, just hear me out on this, my thought, terrorists of any type, religious fundamentalists or just fundamentalists, right? It's their way or the highway, any type of mass homicide, mass shooting, stop putting their pictures up. And in a little bit of a discussion that I get into, people say, well, what does it matter? They're dead. They're not going to see their pictures. No, but who does see their pictures are all these other no-minds running around that want their 15 seconds of fame. So what are they going to do? You see the terrorist picture up all over the news. You see, I mean, you can't get away from it. So then you're suggesting to other people that have never had their time in the sun, so they think. They want that sense of notoriety. They want that sense of control. They want that sense not having the ability to accept their own day of wrath as something they could have controlled. They're busy always looking outside, pointing the finger at somebody else. Oh, it's this politician. It's this political party. It's this religion. It's this ideology. It's this train of thought. It's this education. It's this particular continent. It's this particular group, in or out. And we all have all this wrath. We don't accept it for our own. We don't realize that the day of wrath is one that's supposed to be personal between us. We're supposed to look in the mirror and go, hey, what the hell are you doing with your life? But no, we project that outwardly. So you have these people running around that want to be martyred, and not necessarily just a religious terminology, but they want to be remembered larger than life. Because their life sucks, then they want to be larger than that suck, right? They want to be larger than life. So what do we do in the media? We put their pictures up everywhere. I'm sick of seeing their faces. Oh, well, what are we going to do about it? We'll stop glamorizing it. What are we going to do? Oh, well, stop having guests on that scream and holler and won't let anybody finish their sentence and they have to interrupt and you need a drool cup and a spit rag and you got all this stuff going on. Just look at any of the political debate. Look at all the outward wrath directed. Anybody. Just look at this day and age where anyone that has an opinion contrary to yours, you can't listen to them. Hell no, you can't listen to them. You have to attack. And the media goes, well, what do we got to do to finally cure this underlying sense of anger? Well, stop having interviews that are not unlike mixed martial arts matches. They're all guilty of it. Turn any of it on. Any of the cable news outlets. Turn them on. Well, they know what's going to sell. Guests screaming and hollering at each other, poking each other, taunting each other, interrupting each other. I mean, just listen. It's kind of like, well, it's not kind of, let's not even go there. Yeah, let me just say this. When you have two guests on, and the sole goal of those guests is to get them to pick a fight with each other because that's what sells, it's a little disingenuous to be in the media and say, well, what do we got to do to stop the fighting when all you do is promote the fighting? If all you're going to do is listen to an opinion of another person with the sole purpose of being able to return fire, to fire back at that person because he or she dares disagree with you, oh, heaven forbid. Look at what we've come to. Politicians are great at capitalizing on it. It's just not the media's fault. Anyone says, well, let me get my gang, my clique, my posse, my entourage, my tribe, and then we'll fight your gang, your clique, your posse, your entourage, your tribe. It's craziness. So how are we going to stop it? Stop putting the pictures up or draw clown faces on them. You want to do something to stop terrorism for future generations? Whenever you get one of these guys or girls that does something to harm all kinds of people, to brutally murder all kinds of people, draw on their face with a magic marker. Draw cartoon faces. Put Baby Huey's face up. Everyone's got to see who did it. Great. Then put superimpose Baby Huey's face over whatever body they have left. That's how you're going to curb it. You got to make it uncool to be a terrorist. Who does that? But stop crying in the media. Oh, what are we going to do? It's so horrible. Well, then stop doing it. Stop egging them on. Stop egging them on. Have enough days of wrath. And the one that counts is the one that we'll have in the end when we'll go, was I me? Did I use the gifts that life gave me to the fullest? Or was I constantly pointing the finger at other people? Oh, they made my life miserable. They made this, they made that. A bunch of pincushions. A bunch of gas-powered, hot air pincushions. And no cable outlet escapes it. All the fighting. And then they wonder, oh, well, how was he radicalized? Where do you think she fell off the rails? Really? Or even on Facebook. It's so bad now. Oh, since you did that, I'm going to unfriend you. Great. God love you. I have family members that unfriend me. I've been asked not to tell you which ones. Right? Apparently they don't want outed. But I have family members that unfriend me. God love them. But let's stop running around acting like we don't contribute to it when we can't listen to an opinion of another person without getting all worked up. And the media, the absolute gall. Well, what are we going to do about it? Well, how are we going to stop the violence? When we come back from the break, we're going to give our two guests, one from the left, one from the right. We're giving them sledgehammers. Let them beat it out. Oh, no. You guys are above the fray. Come on. You're just reporting the news. It just happened, so you're going to go on and on and on and on and on. I wish I had another 45 minutes. I'd just say, and on and on and on and on and on for 45 minutes. Oh, but we're not culpable. We're not responsible. It's not us. Oh, it isn't? So what can you and I do? You and I can listen. We can remember that the parts of us that are most important to us are untouchable. Stop acting like a pincushion. Stop being offendable. Have a bit of a buffer. Don't let the outside triggers set us off right away. Do the 20-second victory. Breathe in, exhale, scan the horizon, take action. That craziness running around in the world. You hear something like that before you have to right away. And you have all these people. I love these, the movie stars. Oh, movie stars. Oh, please. I can't wait for your opinion. Dimwit.
Oh, well, if this one wins, I'm moving to Canada.
And the first thing that always pops in my mind is, how are we going to get their mom's basement north of the border? What do you like, excavate the cement foundation so that when they move to Canada, they can take their mom's basement with them? We can listen to each other. We don't always have to be, you get on the internet, you get on Facebook.
Oh, well, I will type back a very vicious reply, or I'll throw him under the bus on Twitter, or I'll do this, or I'll do that. I'll show him. I'll get her back. And then we turn around. Oh, it's like it's like the people run around screaming. And I love this. I saw one the other day. A Prius in the driveway. We got to curb global warming. Got to do whatever we can.
Great. I'm all over. Whatever you think. Whatever you think about global warming. It's your opinion. But they want to kill. They got their Prius in the driveway. Want to cure global warming and the spigot, the water faucet, the thing they use to rain to water the lawn watering thing, a hose with the thing that waters your lawn. Oh, you got a hose hooked up, and here's the just like 2 hours water in the grass. So when it's done later in the day, guys show up, or the gas-powered lawnmower. It's like a postage stamp of a front yard, but I got to have a 400 horsepower John Deere lawn mowing riding tractor in case any of the sod is uneven, right? They're going to be screaming about all these things. Oh, we got to protect the environment, and then we trash the water. We run water for 2 hours to make sure our grass is green. Got to keep up with the neighbors. Then we turn around. Got to buy gas to make sure our behemoth of a lawnmower. I mean, honest to goodness, it's like a postage stamp out front here. I think like 4 passes, you're done. You could push. Look, one of those old lawnmowers where when you push the wheels and the blades spin around. Then you have my attention. Then I'm like, oh, okay, so you really are trying to do something for the environment. Then later you'll see this same house leaves the front porch, the back lights, and the driveway lights on all night long.
Oh, we got to have light, got to have security.
So outwardly driving around in whatever car, and I'm not slamming people driving. I shouldn't even have said Prius. I'm not slamming people with Prius. I'm just saying in terms of being congruent in our own heart. Congruent in our own heart. That's where it counts. So instead of everyone fighting over global warming, fighting over what are we going to do in terms of a political convention, what are we going to do here? Let me just ask, what is all the anger about? Because ultimately, to have that kind of anger, you have to be a co-conspirator. Anger isn't a projectile that pierces your skin. You have to decide to be the acceptance of that anger. You have to sign for the package. Which leads us to today's anaerobic aphorism. When you can't call on anyone else, can you call on yourself? There's nobody else. Can't call on anyone else. Can you call on yourself? Are you the person that can stand up? Not only for yourself, that's easy. Just look on cable news now. Everyone's standing up for their opinions, screaming, spitting, hollering, carrying on, pounding the table, throwing their papers. The question is, can you stand up to yourself? In those moments where you want to go to rage right off the bat, can you stand up to yourself? Go, wait a minute. Take a deep breath. Let me listen. It's not always about preparing to fire back. Let me listen. And even if you don't want to be that cool about it, listening's going to throw them off. They're going to be like, what? Someone's listening to me? I mean, just tune in today. Think of your smartphone. If you watch any of the coverage going on cable news outlets today, and they have a couple guests come on, time how long it takes before one of them interrupts the other. No conversation. Just combativeness. Why not just admit, okay, when we get back, we're going to have, we need a true discussion. We need transparency. Okay, you want transparency? Just say that you're bringing on a mixed martial arts match. Just tell the truth. Tell them that's what you're going to do. We want the two sides to battle. Point, counterpoint. Dan Aykroyd, Jane Curtin, Saturday Night Live, if you're as old as I am. But then you got to ask, when you can't call on anyone else, can you call on yourself? Standing up for yourself is easy. Can you stand up to yourself and go, let me take a deep breath, exhale, scan the horizon, then I'll think, talk, take action, tap my energy however I think that works. That's what you and I can do. And then also stop putting up everyone's pictures. Stop glamorizing. And people say, oh, it's not glamorizing, Brian. No, you see a terrorist face 500 times a day. Newspapers, magazines, online, all the rest of that. And you don't think younger people looking to exact that same type of revenge are going to be drawn? They go, oh, no, that doesn't work on that kind of mind. No, it's a mind unstable enough to do the horrific things that they do. You don't think that unstable mind is going to be drawn to seeing his or her name and lights, pictures everywhere? Really? When you can't call on anyone else, can you call on yourself? Can you be the one that's going to say, I'm done. I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm not going to tune in. Life's too much of a great gig to constantly be fighting and battling. Let it come. Let it go. When you can't call on anyone else, can you call on yourself to do the right thing? All right, this morning. Oh, and then I also want to get through quickly. Segment 1 is going to be called, when I wrote it, Born Brilliant. We'll look at Emerson's quote, when nature has work to be done, she creates a genius to do it. You and I both know, I think you're the work that needs to be done. She created you. I also believe you're a genius. Let's just let the cat out of the bag. I don't know why the cat was in the bag at first, but let's let the cat out of the bag. A little bit of truth in advertising. Calling for transparency this morning. I think you're that genius. I think that's why you're here. Segment number 2. You can't work your brain like a pack mule. That's what was a follow-up to yesterday where I said, well, I want to get some of the rest of that article, and we ran out of time. I ran out of time yesterday. So we're going to go ahead and get that article in. Also, segment number 3, who are you? Who are you? I love this quote. Life of Pi, did you read that book? Martel's quote, Jan Martel. All living things contain a measure of madness that moves them in strange, sometimes inexplicable ways. This madness can be saving. It is part and parcel of the ability to adapt. Without it, no species would survive. So I want to talk about your madness. What are some of those things, the strangeness in you that when you tap into it, now we're living. All right, let's do this. We're going to run to a quick break. We'll be right back.
IPMNation.com.
Okay, it's been popular of late to talk about monkey mind. I've called it chatterdom, needle nits, Lenny and Squiggy, the little voices in your mind pop up. And then I've also spent a little bit of time in the mornings on the internet. You ever go to a website somewhere and all of a sudden you'll go, oh, yes, this seems like a fascinating article. I'll get ready to read this. Blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden, you don't even see it, but like you hear a voice talking to you. We have these pop-up videos. You end up on a website, unbeknownst to you. Now you're getting a commercial or someone's talking. You can't even see their face sometimes. And a voice just starts going off. You're like, holy cow, where is that? So you scroll up, you scroll down, you move left, you move right, you find it. Oh, yeah, there's a little pop-up video in the corner. Well, that's what a monkey mind is like. You and I have the focus, our attention, what we're focusing on. And all of a sudden a voice pops up. So when you're online, you find a little voice, you hit pause. No different. That's what meditation is. It's what mindlessness is. No pop-up ads. You're paying attention. You're focused in the moment.
Oh, let me tell you. Oh, time's running out. Order before midnight tonight. Yes, I'm going to open. I'm going to leave this open one more day. Overwhelming response. I want to make sure everyone gets it.
Or whatever it is. That's the way it is in the mind. All these pop-ups. Just as you can hit the pause button on the video, you can do the same thing within your own mind. Again, I ask you, when you can't call on anyone else, can you call on yourself? Standing up for yourself blended with standing up to yourself. Can you stand up to yourself and go, nah, I'm not going to listen to that video now. Hit the pause button. Go sit in the corner. Lenny, Squiggy, Needle Knits. Go sit in the corner. Because when we do that, we remind our mind who works for who. Beneath it all our all-natural being. Everything else works for it, works for us, works for you and I. So the next time you're on a website, one of those videos pops up, maybe you want to think back to this, our little chat right now. Go, I think he's right. They do just kind of pop up all of a sudden. Great, so then you and I can let them pop down. Calm down. Keep quiet. And then when we decide, maybe there's something we really need to listen to, we decide when we'll entertain that thought, when we give it an audience. Just because it pops up doesn't mean we have to give it an audience in that moment, does it? And it's the survivalist part of me that always asks, when you can't call on anyone else, can you call on yourself? With everything going on in the world today, self-reliance in terms of being sovereign over your own mind, being able to control your own destiny, not letting fate slap you around, derail you or knock you down. That's a true survival expert. I got to go to Salt Lake City here before too long, doing something with the NBC in Salt Lake City about survival and preparedness and the like. But ultimately, all of it comes back to spiritual survival. Is your sense of self enough so that when you need to call on it, you know you can be there for yourself? That no matter what fate throws at you, you're going, I got it covered. Some good, some bad, some happy, some sad, whatever it is, I have a courage for around the corner. Can't see it, don't know what's going on, but whatever happens, I'll be able to address it, deal with it, and win. Which leads to segment 1, which I called Born Brilliant. And Emerson says, when nature has work to be done, she creates a genius. She creates a you. Because if you're here, you have work to be done. That's your destiny. That's your destiny. But I wanted to talk about that genius this morning. What is it exactly? And I found a really cool article that talks about now the Science News from the University of Warwick. The summary says, quote, human intelligence is being defined and measured for the first time ever. It turns out that the more variable a brain is, and the more its different parts frequently connect with each other, the higher a person's IQ and creativity are. Quote, more accurate understanding of human intelligence could lead to future developments such as artificial intelligence, which is always laughable to me. We haven't figured out our all-natural intelligence. Now we want to figure out an artificial intelligence. Just laughable. But what fascinated me about this article is that the professor responsible for it, Jean Feng, says that the more variable a brain is, and the more its different parts frequently connect with each other, the higher a person's IQ and creativity are. So all the different portions of the brain communicating. It's dynamic. The functioning of the brain. What do we got to do for true growth and true learning? So what do? They throw everybody into an MRI. So all these different people, thousands of people according to the article. It says that when it comes to learning and development, show high levels, quote, of variability, meaning that they change their neural connections with other parts of the brain more frequently over a matter of minutes or even seconds. So let me ask you this. If it's true that that's the way the brain works, and then the creativity is enhanced, IQ is enhanced by doing it, what if you and I, just at the macro level, decided to be a bit more variable? She created a genius. Nature must know what's going on. At the micro level, it's the way your brain works. But at the macro level, what if you and I decide to be variable? If we take in other opinions, we take in other things that we're curious about. Instead of being pigeonholed, we look for more rabbit holes. We look for ways to uncover different things in our life. What would be some of yours? Just think back over the last week, let's say. Something that you never imagined you would have been interested in. All of a sudden you're out, you're doing something pops up and you go, huh. Well, that little speed bump, that little could very well be your all-natural being communicating with you going, you know what, maybe this is something we should take a peek at. Maybe check under the hood. If it's true that the brain's ability to be variable across different regions, and it can happen in seconds, taking things that normally don't seem joined and join them together, what are some of those things that you could do in your life? Was there a hobby, a passion, something that you think you dig but you've never given yourself permission? What are some of those things that you could do to be variable at the macro level of your brain, which is your life? What are some of those things? We can write them down. Get out our logbook, our evidence blotter, our journal, whatever you record the thoughts of the day in, however you keep track of the inclinings of your all-natural being. Maybe write some of those things down. But I think Emerson was right. I think you're here to manifest your destiny, whatever that is, however that unfolds. And it has to be an unfolding. It has to be an unfolding. So in the debate of nature versus nurture, just like the human body unfolds throughout the stage of its development, so does your destiny. That's the absolute thrill of living in the labyrinth. You never know what's going to hit. But when you cultivate that courage for around the corner, you're in. That's what makes life a challenge. And I think at some levels, that's why everyone,
I love a good suspense novel.
Great, throw yourself in the labyrinth. That'll be a suspense novel.
Oh, Brian, you got to get some popcorn. What a whodunit. Just had me on the edge of my seat.
Great, so will the labyrinth. Look at some of the things that we're drawn to. And people go, oh yeah, but I couldn't handle the labyrinth in my own life. Sure you could. Takes a little bit of practice. 20-second victory. Maybe scalable. Make it a 20-minute victory. You're absolutely capable of doing it. Throw yourself into the labyrinth. Figure out your destiny as it unfolds. Don't be derailed by fate. That's your inner genius. Which leads me to segment 2. But let's do this. Let's take a quick 13-second break. And then we're going to come back to segment 2. Because you can't keep working your brain like a pack mule, like a philosophical Sherpa. I'll give it a little bit of timeout. We'll be right back. Speaking of timeouts.
You're listening to All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy. How much longer will you let them hijack your head and your heart?
And your heart. Yeah, you're listening to All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy, and apparently me trying to gulp down some water. And that break. All right. Oh, look at the time. We're in the segment 2 already. Dun, dun, dun. I love this Chinese proverb. Tension is who you think you should be. Relaxation is who you are. Yesterday we had we pulled up that article. Let's go pull it up right now. Back to Fast Company, what talks about, you just got to give yourself a break. We talked about the Chinese. Was it China or Japan? Let me see real quick. I think it was Japan when they talked about how giving the students the break, where they took like 20 minutes an hour. So they talked about having an on-off rhythm. How to, instead of just beating yourself up, every so often take a break. Be nice to yourself. Kick back. Try something different. Maybe another way of cracking that genius code that's within you. Now, I know it's popular. Everyone said,
Oh, you're a genius.
But you are, in your own unique way. No mind has ever been formed like that. So why give it up to the herd? Why give it up to the herd? As a collapse of the wave function, you are the most unique thing that the universe was able to throw together. And they threw it together in the form of you. Why surrender to the herd? Why adopt outside opinion and conjecture? Why pick a side in the brawl? It says here, number 2, take totally unstructured breaks. Now, let me just go back up because I want to give the authors credit. No one thinks it's me. Jude Pollack and Olivia Fox Cabane wrote this article for fastcompany.com. They say, number 2, take totally unstructured breaks. Quote, another interesting finding from the Japanese school study was that break time was completely unstructured. Children were left to do whatever they wanted. So, if we're taking a break only to do something, it's kind of like the same thing, right? Where, but Brian, I'm multitasking.
Nobody works harder than me.
No multitasking. Taking a break. You know what I like to do? From time to time, if I'm going to take a break, I like to go outside, hang out under a tree. Yesterday, when I got back from my workout, knelt a little bit, do a little bit of my, let's just call it stretching. Really? No one wants to hear about someone else's yoga. It's like hearing someone brag about being a vegetarian. I've known some, let me say, my times hanging in China, I've been with some real vegetarians, and they never tell you about it. So let's not call it yoga. Let's call it a post-bicycle ride stretching. I'm sitting there in the yard, stretching, hanging out. Little frog jumps right up onto my thigh. Whoop. I stopped. I looked at that frog for a moment. The frog's like, holy crap. Did it again. Hey, I made it like 38 minutes before I said crap. And the frog said, holy cow. I jumped onto a human's leg. That was a nice little break. Thought for a minute. Channeled my inner frog. What are you doing? Those got some thighs on you. I don't know if I could have jumped like that. That was a nice little break. What could you do in your day? An unstructured break. Now, that doesn't mean run and check Facebook or Twitter or any other things like that. It might. You never know. But an unstructured break. Something that takes your brain and goes 180 degrees. Different direction. A true cul-de-sac. A big U-turn. So that your mind gets to exhale. All right, I don't have to be a pack mule again for like another 20 minutes. That would be great. That's the beauty of 20-minute victories. 20-minute victories. Give yourself a little bit of a break. Oh, number 3 in this article. Come on, let's pick it up, Brian. Number 3 in the article. Quote, we don't mean you have to lie down on the floor of your office. It says get on the ground. We mean get outside and find a patch of grass. Take off your shoes or sit down. Be bold. And lie all the way down and stretch out. You ever do that? You ever go out during a rainstorm? Lie down on the ground. Extend your arms. Close your eyes. Sometimes it's good with sunglasses in case hail picks up or, in case the raindrops really start pelting the earth. You ever do that? You ever go out in the middle of a field, just lie down during a rainstorm? I do. I like it. Free shower. No soap. But still a free shower. That would be a great little way to take a break. It says here, according to the article, a study published in the Journal of Environmental Study and Public Health found that being in physical contact with the ground activates the parasympathetic nervous system. Oh, why is that? Because there's dirt in our DNA. We come from the ground. Article goes on to say, quote, this means that our body floods with a calming, swinging on the hammock by the beach hormone. I love that. A calming, swinging on a hammock by a beach. Great writing. Hormone. This brings us down from our work, clears our brain, and gets us ready for the next round of productivity. So really, it's kind of like an inhale and an exhale. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. But it says, quote, whatever you do, try to back away from the 8 or 9 hour or more workday, punctuated, if we're lucky, by a lunch break. That's what's good for our brain. Don't take lunch at your desk.
Oh, well, they deliver Jimmy John's.
No. Maybe you can find a park bench. Or they delivered a vegetarian Jimmy John's.
Yeah, no meat. I don't even have cheese.
Okay, good. So take your Jimmy John's. Go somewhere different. Go somewhere outside. Why sit in the break room staring at someone else waiting in line? What are you, like in first class on an airplane where you got to be the first one on the plane so that you can watch 1,000 people's waistlines walk past you before the flight takes off? What, are you going to sit in a break room and watch 10 people line up at the microwave?
Oh, that was a break. Nice pants.
No. Let's get out and do something different. And if you're like me, we don't always play it right. We give ourselves a little bit of a break, get off our own backs, and go, yeah, I messed up yesterday. It was a very nice belt. It matched the shoes as well in the break room. Get out. Do something a little different. And I thought a lot about it as I wrote this segment. That Chinese proverb. Tension is who you think you should be. Relaxation is who you are. Now, I would tweak this slightly. Go figure, right? I would tweak this to say that not all tension is bad tension. That there's a tension, always that slight tug of war between your destiny and fate's attempt to derail it. There's a slight tension between the lunges and the lapses, the ups and downs, the lefts and rights, the pivots and the swerves, the razor's edge of manifesting your destiny. So that type of tension, where fate's tugging against you and you're tugging against fate to manifest your destiny, that's a great tension. And though the proverb is true, tension is who you think you should be. Relaxation is who you are. I'm not all that ready to throw out the concept of tension. Say, oh, it's a bad thing.
Oh, I got muscular tension in my neck. Can't turn my head.
Yeah, that's one type of tension. But another type is being in the fray, being in the thick, being in the labyrinth, having the courage for around the corner, whatever that is, embracing that uncertainty, surfing that chaos. There's a natural tension in that. And I guess you could say that's like there's good stress and bad stress, good cholesterol and bad cholesterol. This is good tension and bad tension. So maybe from time to time, even in the labyrinth, we take a little break, we relax. Do 20-second victory, 20-minute victory. Be your own best friend. Be your own biggest fan. Don't get hauled into the fight. Don't get drawn in. The day of wrath is coming soon enough where you're going to be able to reflect on everything that's happened in your life. And you ask, was I me? Did I take full advantage of everything that I possessed? All of my natural resources? Did I do everything I could to make a difference in my life and the lives of the people around me? Did I? We'll be right back.
No self-help industry tactics here. You're listening to the real deal. Brian Brawdy with All Natural Being on IPM Nation.
IPM Nation. I say this not all the time, but I think it. Independent, provocative, and mobile, just like our minds should be. Given a brain. We weren't given a hurdling brain. We didn't forfeit who we are. We're not being disrespectful to ourselves by taking the brain we were given and going,
Oh, yeah, just take my vote. Count me in.
no. We want to think on our feet. I found this article this morning. Now, this will be one that we'll be able to continue. Probably could have done a whole show on this. Now, let me just say, before I read the title of this, and I got to pull the clock up here so I can see what's going on. I got to start like setting a timer. Ding! So I know when I'm running over these segments, I'm going to do that. We got so many cool things coming. Don't forget, reach out, 331-684-7685, 331-684-SOUL. Want to thank Thomas. Want to thank Ann. Want to thank Tammy this morning for the texts. The idea is 331-684-7685. Don't forget, also reach out, allnaturalbeing.com, a.k.a. brianbrawdy.com. It's kind of like the Brawny paper towel, except B-R-A-W-D-Y. Not Brawny, but Brawdy. Other than that, it's exactly alike. But I don't wear flannel, and I don't have a full head of hair. And I'm not a lumberjack. But other than that, it's just like the Brownie paper towel thing. So reach out to me. Let me know what you're thinking. We'll incorporate that. So having said that, this is just an article. Quartz, really cool site. So I'm not in any way suggesting that you know anyone like this. But it says, the name of the article, No Brainer. A civil servant missing most of his brain. Civil servant missing. What, like, can't find the car keys? No, his brain's gone. Says, challenges our most basic theories of consciousness. Quote, not much is definitively proven about consciousness, the awareness of one's existence and surroundings, other than it's somehow linked to the brain. Well, that's a big leap. Might be linked to the brain. Might be linked to the heart. Might be linked to the nerves throughout your body. But theories as to how exactly gray matter generates consciousness are challenged when a fully conscious man is found to be missing most of his brain. Now, I know you're thinking this is going to be a political commentary. No way in hell would I go down that. There's even some lefts and rights in the labyrinths I don't take. I'm not suggesting that the people missing 90% of their brain are involved in politics or social media or, any of the fighting going on. What I am suggesting is that they studied a 44-year-old Frenchman, went to the hospital. He was complaining that he had mild weakness. His left leg wasn't working the way he wanted to. So they figured, well, let's go see what that is. Takes himself to the hospital. According to the article by Olivia Goldhill, thank you, Olivia, it was discovered, quote, that his skull was filled largely by fluid, leaving just a thin perimeter of actual brain tissue. Yet the man was married, father of two, civil servant, wasn't mentally disabled. The doctors believe, quote, that the man's brain slowly eroded over 30 years due to a buildup of fluid in the brain's ventricles. They think it may have happened when he was a child, something that happened as an infant and it stuck with him. And that since that time, quote, over the following decades, the fluid accumulated, leaving less and less space for his brain. Article goes on to say, quote, while this may seem medically miraculous, it also poses a major challenge for cognitive psychologists. A doctor from Brussels, Axel Clearmans. Any theory of consciousness has to be able to explain why a person like that, who's missing 90% of his neurons, still exhibits normal behavior. Well, maybe there's something to this underlying connectedness, this all-natural being. Maybe consciousness doesn't just sit in the brain, in the gray matter, the white matter, the neurons. Maybe it doesn't. Article goes on to say, quote, a theory of consciousness that depends on specific neuroanatomical features, the actual physical makeup of the brain. Well, you're in trouble now. How are you going to explain this? 90% of his brain gone. He didn't suffer any significant mental effects. So they believe that maybe because it occurred slowly over time, the brain adapted to losing 90%. So let me ask you, 90% of the brain? No, not like stand-up comedians. Not that kind of 90% of their brain. Right? Not like those people that do daily radio shows at 6 to 7 a.m. Central Time. Not like that 90% of brain loss. But what does that tell you? What if the concept of consciousness isn't born? Because if it is, it certainly wasn't born out of the 90% of the neurons that are missing in this gentleman. Maybe it is a way that the brain adapts from 100 down to 10%. But what if I'm right? What if consciousness extends into the labyrinth itself? What if you and I are simply part of a context that is our consciousness within the labyrinth? What if when we address the everyday in our lives, the ups and downs, the lefts and rights, the pivots, the swerves, the lapses and lunges, the incongruity and consistency, all of it, a big bowl of gazpacho, throw it all in there. And then you have to wonder, okay, well, if it's just my labyrinth, what if consciousness then extends to a tangential labyrinth? Family member, a friend, a neighbor. If you start to extrapolate that, you start to build that out, you see that maybe this concept of heaven or the Higgs field that I talk about all the time, maybe there really is something to that. How does a guy with 90% of his brain gone still function? He's a civil servant. How is that possible? It's possible because you and I are connected to the wave. We are the wave. We are the collapse of the wave function, an agitation in the field. Because if not, how else could you account for this? If you believe the article written by Olivia Goldhill, I've been to this guy's site, studied it, I've looked at the report was first in the Lancet, looked at the x-rays. This guy's brain is gone. What if this sense of connectedness to our environment, what if we really are a cognitive context here to uncover the thrill of life, the mystery novel, the whodunit, the edge of your seat thrill ride that is your life when you let it in, when you get off the couch, when you let your soul off the sideline. And that's where happiness is. This guy seems happy. He's married, got a couple kids, got a job. Sure, he's happy with some part of it. So then maybe happiness really is all around us. 90% of the brain gone, still happy. What does that say about you and I? How can we benefit from this information? You know, and I wanted to get to it this morning, and now I'm glad we're running out of time because all these different articles, New York Magazine's got a couple of them, Psychology Today has one of them, Science Daily has one of them. What did I else pulled up? Forbes had one of them. Scientists are just baffled. They're,
we can't figure out
altruism. We can't figure out why complete strangers would come to the aid of another
And they want it all to be a chess match. They want it all to be that,
Well, subconsciously, we realize that if we do it for them, they'll pay us back somehow in the future.
and admit it, you always hear these stories of, there was the guy last week left a couple $100,000 in the backseat of a cab. Cab driver did the right thing, went, found the guy, or at least found the police who found the guy, gave back the money. And, a couple $100,000. And the guy gave him apparently $100 tip. Be honest, did you go like, really? He returned $200,000, you gave him $100 tip? Maybe our minds do work that way. You go, really? That's all you gave him? $100, $200,000. Maybe some of our minds do work that way, that, because we returned it, we should have given him more. So he was only a cool guy because he was expecting a reward. Well, what if, contrary to all these articles, all these explorations, all these research studies that say, yeah, it really is that quid pro quo? What if there's those of us that open the door just because we want to open the door for someone? What if there's those of us that stop and help people along the highway if they're broken down? What if there's some people that are altruistic because of that same field, all natural being, the underlying connection? John Donne, no man is an island. Now, you wouldn't believe it. Watching cable news, everyone's screaming at each other. Everyone worried. You'll see them checking their look.
Oh, how do I look in this? I got all dressed, a lot of makeup, put this on so I can get out here
And slam someone who dares have an opinion contrary to mine. There's no debate. There's no discussion. It's just derision. So what are we going to do about all the craziness going on in the world? We can recognize that underlying connection that we all share, that we are a part of the field, that we do have dirt in our DNA, that we do come from the same family, regardless of the condition, the pigment of our skin, regardless of all of it, come from the same place. And apparently, none of that has to do with 90% of our brain. It's our connections. It's the context with which we thrive, with which we're thrilled day in and day out. That's what makes life such a great gig, is the mystery, the magic of it. Being alive in this moment, in the labyrinth. Not worried about yesterday, not worried about tomorrow. No more carrots at the end of the stick. And as I've said before, if you're not comfortable with that, try it for 20 minutes, 1/72nd of your day. Be your own best friend. But what if it's true? We could lose 90% of our brain and still be human. What if we could stop all the arguing, all the spitting, the hollering, all the finger pointing, all the screaming just to get ratings? And then wonder, when it goes south and someone exacts their revenge because they've just been stoked, like a fire will die out unless you keep loading more wood into it. What if we stop stoking the fire? What if you and I decide, no, we're not gonna be that way anymore? Sooner or later, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, the media will come around and we'll start having substantive, deep, heartfelt, transparent conversations about what's going on, and not just figuring out what camp we're going to fall into so that we can draw our line in the sand and get ready for battle. Wouldn't that be a place? All right, my friends, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Have an absolutely fantastic day, whatever time of day you're listening. Don't forget, hit me up, allnaturalbeing.com. Send me your email. I'll send you mine. We'll go from there. When you can't call on anyone else, can you call on yourself? I think you can. May take a little practice, a little bit getting back on the horse. And it all begins when we realize there's a line between standing up for ourselves, good thing, no doubt, when we temper it with standing up to ourselves. Now we got a rock and roll show. All right, we're going to get out of here. Have an absolutely fantastic day. As always, for our 75th show, thank you so much. Couldn't have done this without you. We're the #1 show because of you. I truly appreciate it, as I do the opportunity to spend an hour with you each and every day. All right, let's hang out tomorrow. See you soon.
All Natural Being. You've been listening to All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy.
Join us live every Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 a.m. Eastern.
Also, check us out around the clock at allnaturalbeing.com.
Until then, always remember to bring your own bold.
Remember, I'm on your side, even in those times when you're not. Have a great day.
IPMNation.com.